Hello again, and this is the fifth video 5, section 3.5. We're going to be talking about addition in this video, and you're going to need probably an extra piece of paper for one of the things. I have one example that's not in the notes. You could turn it over on the very last page. The back of the packet is a blank page. You've got your notes, get your last page. You could do it there if you want to, but once I got looking at the notes here, I felt like I needed to throw in one thing that could happen where you'd probably get frustrated if you didn't see it, and I think this would make your life a little bit easier. So in this video, I think we're just going to look at 3 problems, the next 2 which are in your notes starting on page 10 in the notes. That's where we are. We're going to look at the next 2 slides on there, and then I'm going to add one question for you to show you something that can trick you up if you're not careful here. So when we talk about addition, one thing we've determined we have to have is a common denominator. All right, so what we've got going on here is we've got 3 plus 1, we've got 1 5/8 plus 3 1/8. Well, one thing we can do with addition and subtraction is we can deal with the whole numbers and the fractions separately. Okay, there are 2 ways to do this. I'm going to show you both of them, and I would encourage you to kind of wrestle around with them and see which ones make sense to you. And I'll make comments about them along the way. So I'm actually going to do this problem twice for you. And I just encourage you to figure out how to get those down and think about it, because you're going to have to spend some time reflecting on it. Well, so what I'm talking about here is I've got 1 5/8 plus 3 1/8. I'm going to clear my screen here. Come back to it. There we go. One thing to do is just to deal with these fractions first. Okay, so I'm going to add this 5/8 plus 1/8. So if I add 5/8 and 1/8, I end up with 6/8. Now we do need to reduce that to 3/4. We always want a fraction part of our answer always needs to be in simplest form, or some people call it reduced. Simplest form is a better way to say that. But the main thing is that you get it reduced down. So the fraction part of this question adds up to 3/4. Okay? Then the whole part of this question is 3 plus 1. 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 3/4, which is your answer there. So that's simple enough to do, and when you can do that, that'd probably be the way to go about doing that question. I know I said I was going to do this one twice, and the other way you could do this question is like this. So I'm going to again clear it. And what you could do is you could change them both to mixed numbers. Remember that trick? 1 times 8 plus 5 would be 13/8. And then you could go 3 times 8 is 24 plus 1 is 25/8. So what you have now is you've converted both of these numbers to mixed. You've converted both the mixed numbers to improper fractions. So now we're just going to add these 2 numbers together. Now I like to write it out horizontally here. So I have 13/8 plus 25/8. And I know that the denominator is going to be 8. So really all I have to do is add 25 plus 13. 38. All right, so now I just have to, I need to reduce this answer. So I could do that now, or I could change it to a mixed number now. And 38/8, I can divide both of them by 2. Divide that by 2, and divide that by 2. All right, 38 divided by 2 is 19. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And then I just need to see how many times does 4 go into 19? Well, 4 goes in there 4 times. You guys remember how we did that? 19. Here's what I'm doing. 19 divided by 4. goes in there 4 times, it gives me 16, and that gives me a remainder of 3. And remember how we took the remainder, and then we made that number the denominator, 4 3/4. So you're probably watching this video going, one of them is really easier than the other or whatnot. Well, sometimes one of the methods is easier than the others. It's hard to say always do this. You really do need to be able to do both of them to really understand. You'll see why in a few minutes. Okay, so let's look at the next question in your notes, which was this. Well, let's do it the first way I did it. Again, I'm going to show you both ways. The first way I did this would be to add the fractions first. Okay, so I've got 1/6 plus 3/4. All right, so we need to go back to the basics of adding fractions here. We need the least common multiple of 6 and 4. All right, that is 12. So 1/6 times something gives me 12. Remember this? 6 times 2 is 12. 1 times 2 is 2. So 1/6 becomes 2/12. And then we do the same thing for 3/4. 3/4 times something is 12. And that something is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. So this 3/4 became 9/12. Okay, so remember what we do now? We add the numerators to get 11. The denominator is 12. So that became 11/12. Now don't forget to add the 3 and the 1. 3 and the 1 is 4. So this answer came out to be 4 and 11/12. And in this particular question, that's probably the easiest way to do this. And that's fine if that makes sense to you. And I would, again, encourage you to experiment with it. Now, I want to show you the other way, just so you're able to, because the other way is going to be valuable for us as well. So, again, I'm going to click fairly quick through this, and make sure you're hitting pause, going back and reflecting on things, because I'm throwing a lot at you quickly here that people struggle with. Well, let's go through our little process here. Remember the check mark. 3 times 6 plus 1 is 19. We keep going. The denominator, same thing, check mark that into 7/4. 1 times 4, excuse me, 1 times 4 plus 3 is 7/4. You got to get your common denominator now. So remember that was 12. So I went ahead and kind of worked this through for you. We went 6 times 2 to get that 12, and we went 19 times 2 to get that 38. And then we have to do the same thing with the other one. We went 4 times 3 to get 21, and we went 7 times 3 to get, we went 4 times 3 to get 12, 7 times 3 to get 21. Now, since you have the same denominator, you got your denominator and your answer. So then all you end up doing is adding that 38 and that 21 to get that 59 right there. And then I went ahead and changed that back to 12 goes into 59 4 times. You'd have to divide that out and get 4 and 11/12. Best answer is the mixed number. For now, where we are, I will take either answer unless the directions specifically say, give me a certain one. I will take either answer as long as the fraction form is simplified. You can't have a fraction that needs to be reduced. Okay, so that's the two methods to solve that. Now, I told you I was going to give you one extra problem to write down. And again, I encourage you to do this because here's where it's a problem for us. So I'm clicking over to another piece of software where I can write. This is not in your notes, but again, it needs to be down somewhere for you. Let's take the question 5 2/3 plus 1 3/4, because something weird can happen if you're only thinking, oh, I'm just always going to add the fraction and then the whole number. You're going to run into a problem, and this is what it could look like. Okay, let's do that. Let's take, I'm going to change colors here. Let's take our fraction and let's add that part first. Okay, so let's do that. 2/3 plus 3/4. We have to add that together, get the fractional part of the answer. So let's go through our routine here. You got 2/3 Oh, I'm sorry, you got the least common multiple of 3 and 4 is 12. Okay, so you've got 2/3 times, okay, something to get 12. So let's do this. You got times 4, that's a 4. So you've got 8 here. You've got, that's 8/12. Okay, so 2/3 became 8/12. Great. Now we do the same thing for 3/4. Going to multiply that 3, and you get 9/12 there. Okay, so 3/4 became 9/12. Great. Now, keep going there. You know that denominator is 12, right? And you know that 9 plus 8 is 17. Okay, so that's our fractional part of the answer. So that became 17/12. Now I go 5 plus 1 is 6. All right, so we say the answer is 6 and 17/12. And unfortunately, you can't leave an answer where you have an improper fraction as part of a mixed number. You can't do that. So you got a couple of options from here. Let's change colors again. Here, you know you have 6, all right? And you also know you have 17/12. Well, let's look at what 17/12 really is. If I divide that out, if I change 17/12 to a mixed number, let's look what value that is. 12 goes in there one time. You got 12, you got, what is that, 5, 6, 7. So you've got 1 and 5/12. All I did here is I took this 17/12 and I made it a mixed number value. Okay, so this fraction back here is really the same thing as 1 and 5/12. Okay, so look what you have now. You have 6 and 1 is 7, and then you still have that 5/12, which is the answer to this particular question. 7 and 5/12. And that is your solution to this question. So if you can follow all that, you can do this method. The other way to do this question, I'm not going to go through it in this video because I've just done it twice, would be the other method would be to take this 5 and 2/3 up here and make that 17/3, and then you do the same thing with that and use that method as well, which when we do subtraction in the next video, I'll be showing you how to do that. So I'm a little bit over my 10-minute mark here, but this is an important one for you, so please be using your rewind, pausing, and hopefully mastering this content. As the next video, part 2 of 3.5, we will talk about subtraction and look how to handle those weird situations. So talk to you soon.